Welcome back to the class, students. And today we will be learning one of the important data model, which is object oriented data model. And one model, which is ER model, we have already covered. If you want, you can get the complete video about ER model in the description box. And I have tried to give you a concrete concept of object oriented data model in this particular video through the proper diagrammatic representations as well as the concept too. So do watch the video till the end and let me know how did you find this video. Comment in comment section. So let's start the video. And in object oriented data model, both data and relationships are contained in a single structure known as object oriented data model. So what will happen in object oriented data model? Both information or data and relationships are also contained in a single structure that is called as a object oriented data model. Which model is having both data and relationships are contained in one single structure? That model is a object oriented data model. Now, object-oriented data models are commonly used in applications that require high performance calculations and faster results. So, which applications are required object-oriented data model means whose applications are required that high performance, which applications are having more calculations, which applications want to expect faster results or more results. Those applications are implementing this object oriented data model. Now let's see what kind of applications those are. Some of the common applications that use object oriented database management systems are real time systems, architectural and engineering, telecommunications, scientific products and astronomy. Especially these applications are implementing this kind of data model. Now let's see another point. Object oriented data model are also called as object databases, or we have another name, that is object oriented database management systems. Now let's see, we have two kinds of names, which those are object databases, or you can also call it as object oriented data model is object oriented database management systems. Object-oriented data model is based upon real-world situation. So it's completely, this data model is based upon real-world situation. The situations are represented as objects. Whatever situation you are taking to consider as a table, that situation is represented according to the object-oriented data model. It is a object with different attributes. Whenever you call one object, we should take attributes to the particular object, either one or more than one attributes. Attributes are here nothing but column names. Here object is nothing but table name. All these objects have multiple relationships between them, and we maintain object oriented data model is also maintain a good relationship between number of objects too. Now let's see the important terms in object oriented data model. Let's understand the object and class here. The object oriented database management system is a database based on object oriented programming. So this entire database management or data model is completely based upon the object oriented programming concepts, OOPS concepts. It's completely based upon the OOPS concept. In object-oriented terminology, an object is a real-world entity. As I already told you, object is nothing but a real-world entity. And a class is a collection of objects. The class is nothing but, in the class we will have a number of objects. When we will have a number of objects, that is called as a class. So in object, what is object? Well, let's see clearly here. The data is represented and stored in the form of objects. Whatever information you are going to be stored, that should be stored in the form of object. And it is also represented the information which you are stored in that object. So this object is nothing but it's a data is represented and stored in the form of objects. Now let's see the features of object oriented data model. The first feature of encapsulation. Encapsulation is an important feature. This hides the implementation details from the end users and display only the needed description. In object oriented data model, we are going to save our information in the form of object. We are going to store our data in the form of object. So while storing the information in the object, we should follow some rules and regulations. We should follow one language, that is SQL, structure query language. In the structure query language also, we have to follow some kinds of techniques like DDL commands, DML commands, DCL commands, TCL commands. Those things are not necessary to know the end users. Whatever we are doing for the storing purpose, that entire implementation details is going to be hide from the end users. Only the display, whatever end user, what end user can able to see, what is the required information, what is the relevant information end users wants to see, that much of information can be displayed with the help of the encapsulation. This means this entire process is called as encapsulation. For an example, imagine that you are buying a soap from a commercial store. When everybody can buy a soaps from the shops itself only. You know its ingredients are such as color, fragrance by looking the box. When we flip the box, so what will happen when we flip the soap box, we can see the ingredients such as what colors they are added, what fragrance they are added to get the smell. These things they have written backside of the box, but you are not shown the actual method used to manufacture the soap. In the box, they never written how the soap has manufactured. Means the implementation need not to understand the customer. Only the thing what is the relevant, the soap he has to buy from the shop and he wants to see what are the ingredients they have used. Like that, in object oriented data model also, never they are going to show the implementation details. All implementation details are hides from the end users. Only the relevant information can be displayed to the end users. This entire process is called as an encapsulation. Now coming to the next important feature, which is inheritance. Inheritance is another important feature because it enables reusability. With the help of inheritance, we can fetch reusability. It is defined as the method of creating new classes from existing classes. How can it is possible reusability? In the sense, means it is a method of creating new classes. We are creating a new classes from where? From existing classes. From existing classes, we are creating new classes. That process, that concept or that method is called as inheritance. The new classes are not only inherit the properties of their parent class, but they also have their own unique properties. In the concept of inheritance, the new classes can have a chance to inherit the all the properties which are available from the existing classes, whatever methods, procedures, function, whatnot. Everything is going to be inherit from the existing class, and also they will have their own unique properties too. Clear? Let's see some of the important terms used in inheritance. The first term is class. I already discussed to you. A class is a group of objects which have a common properties, and it is also called as a template or blueprint from which objects are created. It's just like a blueprint. Means after completion of a project, what's our project look like after completion? So before itself it shows in the form of blueprint or template. So class is nothing but a group of objects or a member of so many objects, collection of objects. Now coming to the next term, that is subclass or child class. Subclass is a class which inherits the other class. Subclass is nothing but it is going to be inherits from the other class. The class the class is inherits, that inherits class is called as subclass, and also called as a child class. Also derived class you can say, extended class you can say, or child class. Now coming to the third term, superclass or parent class. Superclass is the class from where a subclass inherits the features. Superclass is nothing but, superclass is the class from where a subclass, suppose any subclasses is going to be inherit the features from the existing class, that existing class becomes as a superclass, and it is also called as a base class or parent class. And the next one, reusability. As the name specifies, the name itself it shows it's a reusability, means using the same things. Reusability is a mechanism which facilitates you to reuse the fields, which facilitate the reusability, facilitating you to what? Reuse the fields. Fields are nothing but column names. Fields and methods or functions or procedures, whatever we have in the existing class. When you create a new class, when you creating a new class, or when you inherit the subclass from the parent class, whatever their existing class is having fields or methods or functions, everything is going to be reused by the new class. These are the important terms under inheritance. Now let's see one figure. It can make you understand how inheritance works. So I have taken here one class. The class name I have taken here vehicle. In the class I have taken three functions. The first function name is fuel amount, the second function name is capacity, and the third function name is brakes. And I assume this one, according to this diagram, this vehicle is the superclass, and I have inherited three subclasses. The first subclass, bus. This bus was inherited from the parent class, which is vehicle, and the another class which is car. This also inherited from the parent class of vehicle, and the third class which is bike. This is also child class which is inherited from the superclass of vehicle. So I have taken here name, the superclass name vehicle. So on that base I have taken three subclasses which under vehicle genre. So bus is comes under vehicle genre, car is comes under vehicle genre, bike also, like that lorry, trucks, anything. So which things comes under vehicle genre, you can make one class. Suppose I have already told you, if you create one object, that object must and should have attributes. So bus is having different attributes, as well as car also having different attributes, as well as bike also have different attributes. But if you want to write any function especially for this bus object, no need to write the function for the bus. Why? Because we have a chance to inherit the functions or methods or procedures or fields, whatever it is having in the main class, we will have a chance to inherit those things to the subclass. Is right or not? So we can directly inherit these three functions to any subclasses. Why? Because every vehicle is running with the help of fuel or petrol or diesel, and every vehicle is going to be checked under how much capacity it is going to be go, and every vehicle must and should be have a brakes. These three functions are related to all these three subclasses, isn't it, Dr.? Not right? Like that, we no need to write the functions again for these each subclasses. We can directly inherit these three. If you want to inherit, it's depending upon your work. Suppose the bus wants to inherit all the three functions at the same time. This this car object wants to inherit only fuel, so happily take only fuel function. Like that, you can inherit some of the functions from the parent class. So once again I'll repeat it. Class vehicle is the superclass. Class bus, car, bike are the subclasses of the superclass of vehicle. These three are called functions or methods which is available to inherit to the subclasses. Coming to the another important feature, which is polymorphism. Here polymorphism means many forms, and it occurs when we have many classes that are related to each other by inheritance. When it requires means when it occurs when we have many classes, at the single, when we did creating number of classes, that time polymorphism we are going to be considered with the help of inheritance. With the help of inheritance, let us inherit attributes and methods from the class. This point you all know, right? We are, with the help of inheritance, we will have a chance to inherit the attributes and methods from the existing class, right? Like polymorphism uses those methods to perform different tasks. So after inheriting those methods or attributes, so what the polymorphism do? Polymorphism uses those methods to perform different tasks. Means one method they are going to be used in different ways. This allows us to perform single action in different ways. Means one method can do in different ways. For an example, think of a superclass called animal. Assume I have a superclass name animal that has a method called animal sound. Assume, students, all of you, I have a class superclass name animal, and that animal superclass I have 3 to 4 attributes also there, and one method. That method name is called animal sound. Clear? Now I have subclasses also in the same class. What those subclasses names here be? Pigs is one subclass which is inherited from the superclass of animal, and the second subclass name is cats, which also inherited from the superclass of animal, and the third subclass name is dogs, which is also inherited from the superclass of animal, and the last subclass, which is birds, this also inherited from the superclass of animal, right? And I have already told you each and every object when we created, that must be attributes must, and pigs is also, pigs will have a attributes, different attributes, as well as cats, dogs, similar to birds also will have a different attributes for each and every object, and they also have their own implementation of animal sound, isn't it or not? Each and every animal is have their own implementation of sound. For an example, see here, not an see here, these four subclasses are derived from the class of superclass of animal, right? So each and every subclass is having different attributes too, and this pig is going to be want to write one function about their sound. How the that pig animal is going to be implementation their sound, how the pig says. So on that note, the pig object is going to be want to write one function about to show their sound, as well as cat also wants to write one function to show their sound. But it in the for on that note, all these subclasses has inherited from the superclass of animal, right? As well as in that animal superclass, we have a one method name is called animal sound, which we have already written animal sound in the superclass of animal, right? So according to the inheritance, we have a chance to inherit the methods or functions or procedures from the existing class to the subclass. So we'll have a chance to take the inherit the method of animal sound to pigs or cats or dogs or birds. So I assume I have inherited this animal sound to this particular pig object, as well as cat object. Cat object also inherited this animal sound, and dogs object also inherited this method of animal sound. Birds object also inherited this animal sound. Now the polymorphism works here. See, each and every animal have their own implementation of sound, like cat says meow, dog says bow, but we are using the same method, we are changing the code. We call the same method, we are inherit what we have inherited from the superclass, that method we called here, but this same method we are using in different ways in different objects. Why? Because each and every animal has a different sound, is implemented their own different sounds. So on that note, here polymorphism works taking the same method to all the objects, but it shows in different way. That the polymorphism works. On that way polymorphism works. On that note, it shows polymorphism allows several objects to use the same method. We are using the same method of animal sound, but in different ways. The pig says in the different way wank. The cat says in different way meow. The dog says in different way bow. But we are calling the same method animal sound, but we show in the different way. That is the polymorphism. Clear? Now, let us understand the object and class. What is object and what is class with the help of this diagram. Here, observe here object replaces entity. As I already told you, object is nothing but entity. In the entity relationship model, so entity, we are storing all our information in the form of entity. In the object-oriented related model, we are storing all the information in the form of object way. See, as I already told you, here I am creating one student information. He is the first student, name is Rahul. So I am going to create a class which is named under student. So the first object is Rahul. So when we created one object, as simultaneously we should call attributes. So what are the attributes for this Rahul? Student name, student ID, student gender, student phone, student address. All these comes under student attributes. As well as here I am calling some functions which are get total function, get average function, get grade function, print marks function. Once I have written for one class, so similarly these functions will be inherited to all the students who are comes under that particular class. So after finishing this Rahul information, we should go for the next student, yes or no? So assume the next student name is Adya. We should have to write for next student. Similarly, we'll have a chance to inherit the fields as well as methods also. So we need not to write again these functions. We need not to create again these columns. Why? Because it is already created in the existing class. Simply for Adya, we have to be inheriting those fields and functions for this Adya similar to the next students too. This is all about the object oriented data model. I hope you all understand this concept. If you are not understand, means if you have any doubt also, let me know in the comment section. I will be clarifying your doubt as soon as possible. Thank you all. God bless you all.